correctly. But yes, we're well aware of the water reservoir situation. Earlier in the summer, streams were rerouted to protect endangered salamanders into the Pacific Ocean so that they didn't have to swim in waters that were too warm for them. We're well aware of that situation. What about this situation with Mexican firefighters coming out? Yes. Fire people that are coming from the country of Mexico, yes, are coming to help us with this uncontrollable fire situation. Where's the funding going to come from? We'll probably use money from our unhoused budget to help fund those fire people that are coming from the country of Mexico. And what's priority number one? Diversity is our main priority here. Whatever we're doing, we're gonna make sure that it's diverse. Diversity, diversity, diversity.
folks. It's all documented.
There was an illusion being created using the most awesome tools and the greatest tricks that the American intelligence community had learned to use against our enemies. Now it was being deployed against the American people and our president.
This is the biggest political scandal in modern history, which makes Watergate look like a tennis.
The FBI director has no credibility.
The left used to not trust the FBI, and now they love them.
This can happen to General Michael T. Flynn. Imagine what they do to anybody who has a single strike against them.
35 Russian diplomats in the U.S. expelled. The prosecution of General Flynn wasn't a pursuit of criminal activity. It was a setup.
Flynn actually had details. So he was talking about going after people's budgets. They were terrified.
The media didn't start as neutral. The media hasn't been neutral all its life. The two cases of Hillary Clinton are coming up. In fact, through WikiLeaks, that she says one thing, and...
Oh, no. They worked hand in glove with Comey to try to delegitimize Trump. They were not there to tell the truth.
A political dirty trick is being carried out by our intelligence community.
Honestly, none of us really know, sort of holistically, what to think about this dossier.
They went into Congress. They said, nothing here. Doesn't matter. We'll keep going with FISA. We'll keep going with the investigation. And more importantly, we will go on TV day in and day out and lie to the American people to their face. And nothing's going to happen to us.
The nation and all of our freedoms hang by a thread. And the military apparatus of this country is about to be handed over to scum. Or beholden to scum. Russian scum.
We had not one person claim that they had or had seen evidence of Trump colluding with the Russians.
Devin Nunes was the hero in the forest. He was alone, he was mocked, he was attacked.
Devin Nunes was subject to such scorn for saying the conclusions that we brought forth in that report, which all proved to be true.
Russiagate was a false story.
To target their political opposition, to carry out their insurance policies.
I believe that this is a conspiracy. These guys have perpetrated the greatest crime against the American people ever seen. It was a coup d'etat.
This is how sick and twisted these people are.
I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions, the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition.
It was shocking to see some of the overclassification that was done to hide either corruption or abuse of authority and just to make sure certain agencies didn't look bad. We have a peaceful transition of power process. That's not what happened. There were more meetings, there were more leaks, there were more attacks.
The thing that they were investigating the Trump campaign for is what they themselves were doing. Not just the Democratic Party and their operatives, but also the FBI. If I were writing about the time frame that we lived in, that we're living in now, I would say it wasn't supposed to happen. They weren't supposed to know.
The entire time this was going on, they thought this was going to be what sunk the Donald Trump presidency. And they were just looking for the golden goose, and they still haven't found it.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in complaints of. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we. I tried 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on.
Who, for instance, who is currently holding, this is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic schools.
Yeah.
You still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting it. And that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game. You know, same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I gotta get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, you know, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word or whoever that guy is as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything, but how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours, bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my heart away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to. People like me, people like you, wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. The rich men know the rich men, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
You are listening to Free Radio for free men. We are the voice of the Sons of Liberty.
So where do these fires, how many fires are there, and where do they come from?
I believe there's 5 active fires right now. And these are ignition-driven fires, meaning that this is all chaparral or scrubland, brush areas. So this is different than the Sierra forest.
Right. These are not forest fires.
Yeah, these are not forest fires, and that doesn't mean that you're doomed to them, but it's not the same problem that we get in the Sierras. So they're ignition-driven and they're obviously wind-driven, but there's nothing unusual. I just interviewed a climate scientist about this, or rather an environmental forest scientist about this. There's nothing unusual about this. I mean, it is somewhat unusual to get. You have a dry period and then the same day and the winds in January, but it's not like that never happens. I'm working my way there, so of course. Ignition. But I mean, the important thing to know is that the National Weather Service put out a fire warning on January 2nd, and a local weatherman actually forecasted on January 1st. They said we're headed towards a super dangerous moment. The next day, the National Weather Service Los Angeles held a briefing to underscore that point. The day after that, the mayor flew to Ghana. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
these are public press conferences.
Yeah, it's absolutely public, and it goes to the politicians first, but it's all said public. It's the National Weather Service. So that was like literally on the 1st or 2nd, the governor should have called out the National Guard. He should have called all of our neighboring states. He should have called Canada and Mexico, asked for all their backup help. They should have started circling C-130s that are, especially retrofitted with that can dump the fire retardant or water. They should have had helicopters circling to see where the fires were. It should have been immediate mobilization.
Pardon my ignorance. First of all, I didn't see that news when it happened, but I didn't know that. So it was really clear to the people who run the city and the state that you had this combination of dry conditions and heavy winds.
Yeah, and because there's so many ignitions, because of really these 2 factors, mostly the electrical wires, brushing up against, vegetation and triggering a fire. That's kind of one of the main ones. The other one is homeless people starting fires all over L.A. Half of all fires put out by the L.A. Fire Department are started by homeless people. It's been that way for years.
Why do homeless people start fires?
It turns out meth heads love to start fires. There's just every drug has its kind of weird element to it, but meth heads love starting fires. They love destroying things. Like meth is like the drug of nihilism, so it's like perfect drug for LA and California at the moment.
So these are not cooking fires.
They could be cooking fires,
but starting fires to destroy things.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's not evil or anything.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah, what could go wrong?
But isn't classically starting fires and torturing animals, aren't those like signs of sociopathy?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, look, meth makes you psychopathic. It makes you psychotic. It's meth-induced psychosis. But, I mean, and all the crazy, people behave, things that people do on meth, it is like, it's like they behave with like superhuman crazy powers, the levels of violence, the assaults, when you interview people, particularly people in recovery that describe being on meth, they're just awake for like weeks at a time. Like it's not even clear how they get any sleep at all. So that's just, that madness has continued. And, and Mayor Bass, who's the...
Wait, so just to isolate what you're saying, and just to pause, I think it's a really important point. Fires, at least half of fires in LA County are started by homeless people.
Yeah.
And you believe that's driven by their use of a specific drug, meth.
Not totally. I think homeless people are going to often start fires for a lot of different reasons. Drugs can start fires, but the meth heads are like into fire. Like it's a big part of meth culture. It's just starting things on fire.
No one sees this in theological terms. It's like this.
I know, it's amazing.
Well, it is amazing.
Yeah. No, it's satanic. He kind of goes totally satanic.
It seems about as obvious as it could be.
Yeah. It's awful. But you kind of go... so first of all, that problem should have been dealt with, obviously, years ago. It should never have been allowed. So, but that, they knew on January 1st, January 2nd, that the fires were coming. Like, it was inevitable that there would be fires. Like, there was, like, zero doubt among anybody that knows anything about fire in Los Angeles that the fires were coming. The fires were coming. So, then, like, the governor should have been there, the mayor should have been there. You should, like, literally, it's all about prevention, in part because by the time the fire trucks are having to weave their way up those little hills of the Pacific Palisades, it's over. I mean, so the other thing to keep in mind is that, okay, well, so that's the first thing, is that they just have to mobilize in advance.
So that's a feature for people who aren't aware of the geography of LA.
Oh, it's just incredible. I mean, it's why it's so beautiful, right? Beautiful places are dangerous.
Exactly right.
That's like the main event. So because I knew I did, my first thing I did is I was like, look, they're going to come out and say it was inevitable, and that's just a total lie.
Because of global warming.
Yeah, because of global warming, and I mean, anyway, there's so many places to go here, but just on the most practical sense, they knew the fires were coming, and they didn't do anything. The mayor leaves the country. She flies to Ghana after having promised not to leave the country, by the way, as mayor. She's traveled at least six times out of the country, and she promised not to travel. Why is it important the mayor be there? Because, aren't there the people in charge? Because it's an emergency command situation. She has to be able to issue orders and to, waive regulations and make things happen. The governor has to be doing that. They didn't do that. They should have had, by the way, they should get the fire trucks up into the fire areas right away. Yeah. They can also start, they can start clearing brush. They can start, but literally they could just be in those neighborhoods just sitting there for days at a time waiting for the fires to happen, put them out as soon as they happen. I'm not saying that they would have been able to prevent all the fires from happening, but you remember, like, the big fire in 1993, I think it was Laguna Beach, or maybe it was Malibu as well, but it was like 700 homes. And we're at 10,000, structures at this point, homes and buildings gone, 200,000 people evacuated. I mean, it's like, it's madness. It never needed to get to that level. Okay, so that's the first thing. They just needed to have been there before the fire started, and they didn't do that because the politicians are they're focused on themselves, they're focused on the next political office they want to get. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the water runs out, right? So that was and you hear people go, oh, well, there's something you can do because, like, once the homes are burned down, like the water lines, you can see the pictures, the water, like, will be spilling out, of the homes. And so that lowered the water pressure. That was a total lie. There is something called the Santa Ynez water reservoir, which is the potable water, meaning the drinking water that also goes into the fire hydrant system, because the fire hydrant, the fire hydrant system is the drinking water system. It's the same thing. It's the exact same system. That reservoir was empty, and it was the second largest of the 10 potable water reservoirs that serve LA County. Let me make one distinction here, because there's actually two kinds of reservoirs. There's the reservoir with the snowmelt water, these really big lakes, basically, and then there's that's the unpurified water, and then they purify it, and then they feed into these reservoirs where they store the water for all sorts of reasons, for emergencies. So that is an absolute crime, that Santa Ynez Reservoir. Why? Because, first of all, it's right next to the Pacific Palisades. So for people that don't know, Pacific Palisades, of course, is like right near, it's on your way to Malibu. It's like the last big neighborhood before you get to the...
And they're Palisades. They're over the water.
That's right. And so they have a reservoir. Like, you look at the Google Maps and you look at where the Santa Ynez Reservoir is, it's right next to, like, a few thousand feet from Pacific Palisades, and it's really high up, and so if you had water coming from that, the firefighters would have had plenty of water. They would have had the water pressure, even if you had lost some homes and had the water out. So two major failures. The first was the failure to aggressively respond days in advance, even though they had very clear warnings. The second was the reservoir was empty. One reporter has reported that the firefighters had not been warned by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power that reservoir was empty. If that's true, that's just additionally scandalous.
All the streets are brown, and the teachers gay. I went for a walk, got mugged along the way, yeah. Had me sick from harm. if I move from LA? California fleeing, I gotta get away. Stopped into a woke church with rainbow flags displayed. When I pulled down my KJV, the pastor burst into flames. I know the sinner's cold, and thought us out of the way. But then I'm California free, just gotta get away. Traffic's a pain. I've been on the 405 for California
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
Anybody here see my old friend Abraham? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seems good they die young.
murdered him because he spoke out against the corruption. They murdered him because he was willing to stand in their way to protect we the people. And if they had been unable to assassinate his body, they most certainly would have assassinated his character, just as they did to so many others who dared speak out. We witnessed it firsthand these past 8 years. From the moment he spoke of stopping the endless wars, and when he dared speak out against children being sex trafficked to our political elite. It was then that Donald Trump became the cabal's mortal enemy, an enemy that had to be stopped at all costs. The cabal is not going to just lay down now that he's been re-elected. The war is really just beginning, and they have imported a 12 million-man army to assist them. The cabal has infiltrated every government institution and intelligence agency. They have designated you as their prime enemy. Donald Trump is merely standing in the way. It is you they want to destroy.
You have been listening to the voice of the Sons of Liberty. We wish you peace, strength, and discernment in these troubled times. Where we go one, we go all.